If you've ever searched for herbs for perimenopause, you've probably seen the exact same list over and over again. Black cohosh, sage, red clover. And don't get me wrong, they are actually great herbs for perimenopause. However, this information really overlooks one important problem. Perimenopause is not one condition. It's a life transition that shows up 100 different ways. Some women may have trouble sleeping while others experience anxiety. Some might have weight gain despite doing all the right things, while others are fine, but they start having heart palpitations. The symptoms of perimenopause are so vast. So instead of asking what's the best herb for perimenopause, the better question to ask is, what is my body actually asking for to support me through this transition? Hey herb mates, if you're new here, I'm Alicia LaBeouf, the Red Book Gardener and clinical herbalist. Here in my apothecary, we talk about herbs through the constitutional lens, looking beyond the isolated symptoms and instead the patterns that our bodies are presenting so we can better choose herbs that individually fit our body. So let's talk about why the symptoms of perimenopause are so vast. I often tell my clients perimenopause is not just about estrogen. It truly is a full body transition. Your hormones are changing, but so is your nervous system, your metabolism, your sleep, your stress response, your blood sugar, and even your resilience, which is why a lot of symptoms can actually seem very unrelated. Here are some of the most common symptoms women experience: hot flashes, night sweats, anxiety, mood swings, brain fog, fatigue, weight changes, heavy or irregular periods, poor sleep, low libido, heart palpitations, and joint pain. If we didn't know what was going on, we would think that is a wild combination of symptoms to be occurring in one body. But let's also talk about why one herb works for your bestie and then you try it and you're like, girl, no. I've worked with women that will be the exact same age, both going through perimenopause. However, they will have completely different herbal protocols. And that's because perimenopause does not occur in a vacuum. It's occurring in your body, the body that you have been living in for decades. The patterns that were already present before perimenopause often affect how it shows up. For example, a woman that has already been experiencing unstable blood sugar or insulin resistance for years prior to the transition may all of a sudden be experiencing weight gain, unstable blood sugar, fatigue, energy crashes as these hormones begin to shift. Another woman with stable blood sugar may never experience any of those symptoms as they transition. Or let's consider the nervous system. If you're entering this transition after years of chronic stress, poor sleep, or caregiver burnout, you're more likely to experience insomnia, overwhelm, anxiety, or that feeling of being on edge. Meanwhile, another woman who may have a better regulated system and a more supportive lifestyle may move through the transition much more smoothly. My point is, while all women will go through perimenopause, it really shows itself differently woman to woman, and that's why it's better to care for ourselves as a whole instead of just generically looking for perimenopause herbs. Okay, so let's talk about the most popular menopause herbs, and I'm going to give you two bonus ones you may have never heard of. Two herbs you're probably going to see recommended most often for perimenopause are black cohosh and sage. While they certainly have some overlap, I actually think of them a little bit differently. Black cohosh has a long history of traditional use for women experiencing hot flashes, night sweats, muscle tension, and other symptoms that often accompany the menopausal transition. Energetically, it's considered a cooling herb, so I tend to think about it for women whose body seems to be expressing excess heat. Maybe they're having frequent hot flashes, waking up completely drenched in night sweats, and at the same time, they're carrying a tremendous amount of physical tension in their bodies. Thinking like tight shoulders, neck, jaw, a stiffness, just that feeling of being physically wound up. Sage, on the other hand, is one of my favorite herbs for when the sweating is the primary complaint. Sage is what we call an astringent herb, which means it has a tightening and drying effect on the tissue. If you've ever breastfed, you may recall being told to avoid sage until you're ready to wean off or stop nursing, as it can actually temporarily halt or even dry up lactation. That same drying effect is one of the reasons why it is often used in menopause. It's actually considered an antihydrotic, which actually means it helps reduce excessive sweating. So while both herbs may be considered for hot flashes and night sweats, I often think about sage when someone tells me, hey, I'm sweating excessively and I'm having to change my clothes multiple times a day. And by comparison, black cohosh is the herb I tend to think of when the picture is a little more broader. It's heat accompanied by muscle tension, tightness, and that feeling of being physically wound up. Neither herb is better than the other, they simply address an issue in a different way. Red clover is quite different from black cohosh and sage because I don't think of it as really just being primarily for one symptom like night sweats and hot flashes. Instead, I think of it as a gentle, nourishing herb that truly supports the body throughout the entire transition. Traditionally, red clover has been used as a spring tonic and alterative herb, meaning it was valued for its ability to gently support the body's natural process of nourishment and elimination. It's also incredibly rich in minerals and flavonoids, making it one of my favorite herbs for long-term wellness rather than short-term symptom management. One of the reasons red clover has received so much attention in menopause research is because it naturally contains compounds called isoflavones, which are plant constituents that have been studied for their role in supporting women during menopausal transition. I tend to think about red clover for women who simply feel depleted, and I often like to pair it with other nourishing herbs like milky oats and nettles to make sure we are supporting our body through the process. And as promised, here are two bonus herbs that are less talked about in the mainstream conversation. The next herb is dong quai, which is often talked about but not always fully understood. In TCM, dong quai has a long history of use as a blood tonic. Herbalists will often describe it as both blood building and promoting healthy circulation, which is one of the reasons why it's been used for centuries to support women's reproductive health. You may also hear dong quai discussed because it contains naturally occurring plant compounds known as phytoestrogens. These compounds are structurally similar to estrogen, but they don't behave the same way as our body's own hormones. I tend to think of dong quai for women who feel like they've become depleted over time. Maybe they've had cycles that have been very heavy. They've spent years caring for everyone else but themselves, or they're entering perimenopause already feeling fatigued, dry, and run down. Energetically, dong quai has a gentle, warming, and moving nature. Rather than cooling excessive heat like black cohosh, it's often considered when there's a sense of stagnation. Whether that's sluggish circulation, menstrual discomfort, or simply feeling like the body has lost some of its vitality, it's one of those herbs that reminds us that perimenopause isn't really just about hormones. It's about supporting the whole person, their circulation, their nourishment, their overall resilience as they move through this transition. Because dong quai does promote circulation, it's not always appropriate for women that might have heavy menstruation, certain blood disorders, or if you're taking blood thinners. The last herb I want to mention is licorice root, and I think it is one of the most underrated herbs for women moving through perimenopause. While many people immediately think about hormones, I often find myself thinking about something else first: the stress response. Licorice is considered an adaptogen, which means it helps your body better respond to stress, both physically, mentally, and emotionally. It has a particular affinity for the HPA axis, which is the communication network between the brain and the adrenal glands that helps regulate energy, mood, metabolism, immune function, and our response to stress. I think about licorice for women who are exhausted before the day even begins. They've been running on empty for years, probably juggling their career, their kids, maybe taking care of aging parents, or simply the demands of everyday life. And then perimenopause arrives, and suddenly those symptoms can really begin to feel overwhelming because they just never had a chance to pour into their own cup. So you see, it's not really just about the hormone change that's occurring. A lot of women enter perimenopause in a place that has less reserves already to handle the stress of that transition. That's when licorice is such a beautiful herb because it's nourishing and building and supportive, specifically of women during that transition. This actually reminds me of a conversation I was having with my older sister, Chanel, a few months ago. We were on the phone and she was telling me, I have nonstop cravings for black licorice. Naturally, me being me, I started asking questions. So, of course, I'm like, well, how's your sleep? Has your cycle changed at all? Are you getting hot flashes? She immediately went, girl, what? And I was like, well, honey, um, perimenopause might be knocking. And then, of course, everything kind of clicked. Oh, anyways, I sent her some licorice root, and that is now her herbal bestie. Now, of course, I'm not saying craving black licorice means you're entering perimenopause, but I do think it is so fascinating how our bodies will nudge us towards exactly what we need sometimes. Like every herb we've talked about today, licorice isn't appropriate for everyone. In some people, it can raise blood pressure and have effects on potassium levels. It's generally not recommended for people who have uncontrolled hypertension as well as some kidney and heart conditions. But for the right person, it can be a very nourishing and uplifting buffer to chronic stress while going through a transition. So, equally as important as finding the right herbal ally is creating a foundation that gives us ease through the transition. Because at the end of the day, no herb is going to outwork poor sleep hygiene, a diet that is wrecking your metabolism, or if you're living in a constant state of overwhelm and nervous system dysregulation. Herbs can be incredible allies, but they are only one piece of a much bigger picture. Other ways you can make sure you're supporting your body throughout the transition is making sure you're intaking enough protein, staying active. Strength training is incredible for women. Getting enough sleep, enough quality sleep, making sure our diet is blood sugar friendly, reducing stress, and incorporating nervous system regulation into your lifestyle. I often find that when we improve those foundations, the herbs actually work even better. So when I get DMs that ask me, hey, what's the best herb for perimenopause? I usually respond with, well, what's your story? Because you truly do deserve something better than just a generic list of herbs. If you are currently going through perimenopause and you are just tired of all the conflicting information and you want help finding the right formula of herbs for you, that is exactly the kind of work that I do. As a clinical herbalist and a holistic practitioner, I work one-on-one with women to understand their unique health history, lifestyle, symptoms, and patterns so we can create a personalized herbal plan specifically made for them. If you would like to learn more, you can schedule an herb chat using the link in the comment section or in my bio. We'll talk about what you've been experiencing, answer your questions, and see whether working together feels right.